Home Assistant 2026.7 is not a flashy release, but strangely this might be one of the most useful releases in months. This release quietly fixes some of the most annoying daily frustrations in Home Assistant, and that's updating, building automations, understanding what's happening, and figuring out why things broke. And honestly, one feature here might be one of the best quality of life improvements we have had in months. Not because it's technically the biggest feature, but because almost every Home Assistant user will feel the difference immediately. Quick warning as always, this video is recorded on the beta or beta version, so I'm sticking to what's currently available. No fake demos, no invented features. If I cannot properly show something, it stays as a mention. So we are starting with a feature I think almost everyone will definitely love. I do. We'll be starting in a couple of seconds. This might actually be my favorite change in the entire release. Not because it's the biggest feature technically, but because almost every Home Assistant user will understand this pain immediately. The updates page finally makes sense. Before this, updates often looked like a wall of pending guilds. Core update, OS update, supervisor, integrations, apps, hacks, ESP home devices, everything mixed together in one neat piece of, giant list. You open updates and suddenly it feels like Home Assistant is personally disappointed in you. It felt less like maintenance and more like guild management. In 2026.7, Home Assistant finally gives updates structure. Core, operating system, supervisor, they sit separately at the top, exactly where they should be. The bulk update-friendly things like apps, integrations, hacks, and ESP home updates get grouped logically. Skipped updates are separated too, and each section gets its own update all action where it makes sense. That's the important part. This is not just about adding an update all button. It's about making the entire update workflow easier to understand. You immediately know what is safe-ish for bulk updating and what deserves more careful attention. Home Assistant updates used to feel like a mess you had to survive. In 2026.7, they finally feel like a workflow. The second big feature is automations. Purpose-specific triggers and conditions are now out of labs and became the default way to build automations. And this is a big shift, because the old automation editor often started with Home Assistant internals. Which entity, which state, is it on, detected, home, not home, unavailable, or something else entirely? Do I need a state trigger, numeric state trigger, device trigger, or event trigger? Or maybe just an emotional support? Well, the new flow starts with what you actually want the house to react to. When motion is detected in an area, when temperature crosses a threshold, when a battery becomes low. This is important mental shift. You are no longer building around the technical primitive first. You're building around the moment. And that makes automation building feel much more natural. Existing automations still work, YAML is still there, and this is not a migration tax. It's simply a better way to build the next automation. Activity, or what many of us still call the logbook, gets rebuilt into timeline. And this is one of my favorite improvements in the release because it solves one of the most common smart home questions. What happened and why? The old logbook was useful, but it often felt like reading a flat list of events. Lamp turned on, sensor changed, automation triggered. After a busy day, that was really not easy to read. In 2026.7, activity becomes a proper timeline. Events are grouped by day, read top to bottom, and get much better visual structure. But the real value is context. If person caused something, you can see that. If an automation triggers something, you can see that too. If an integration caused it, you get the context as well. This is where Home Assistant becomes much better at answering the question we all ask during debugging. What triggered this? This is not just a prettier logbook, this is basically a crime scene tape for your smart home. And honestly, I love that. The next one is very much for my audience. ZHA device management gets a serious quality of life upgrade. And yes, I know that sentence sounds extremely niche to normal people. But if you run a real Zigbee network inside Home Assistant, this one matters. Before, some of the advanced ZHA device management lived inside a small pop-up. It worked, but it felt cramped. In 2026.7, that moves into the dedicated full-page view with tabs for clusters, bindings, signature, and the neighbors, plus a cleaner summary view. This does not magically fix your Zigbee mesh, but it makes device management far more usable when you actually need to inspect what's going on. And when you are debugging Zigbee issues, easier visibility matters a lot. ZHA did not magically become perfect, but managing devices no longer feels like reading a service manual through a keyhole. The fifth feature is not one giant headline feature, but it is exactly the kind of improvement that matters in real Home Assistant setups. Better debugging. The release notes mentions more improvements to live condition testing, clearer status icons, mobile support in visibility editors, and better coverage for conditions inside actions. They also mentioned the automation and script traces now always include template errors. And that matters more than it sounds, because when something fails, this is the difference between the automation did not work, and here is why it did not work. Anyone who has built automations with templates knows this pain. The trigger fired, the action should have happened, but somewhere inside a template quietly exploded and left you with nothing except confusion and slightly personal dislike of curly brackets. This is exactly the kind of improvement that makes debugging less painful. The automation may still fail, but now it fails with better witnesses. Which sounds strange. A few quick mentions before we wrap up. The format selection is a nice improvement if you use timestamp entities in tile cards, entity cards, or badges, but not a major chapter for me. Dedicated panels for infrared and radio frequency are interesting too, but they only appear if you have supported infrared or RF devices. Dropbox is now available as a backup location through Home Assistant Cloud account. But before updating, do check the backwards incompatible changes, especially if you use anything mentioned in the release notes, like Bluetooth proxy behavior, HDMI CEC changes, or rename triggers like lawnmower docked becoming return to dock. And remember, this is still beta or beta. Do not YOLO update your production system unless restoring backups has become a personal trait. So my final take, Home Assistant 2026.7 is not about one giant flashy feature. It fixes daily frictions. Updates are clear, automation starts from intent, activity helps you understand what happened, ZHA gets better tooling, and debugging gets easier when things break. And this is exactly why 2026.7 feels like such a nice but strong release. Not because it adds biggest features, but because it removes friction and makes Home Assistant easier to live with. I really do hope that you did enjoy this video, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like button and also check that you are subscribed. And yes, as always, I must say thanks to all those wonderful people that are supporting me and that have become YouTube channel members. Thank you all for all of your support. But let's not forget each and every one of you who has watched, shared, liked, but also commented on my videos. Thank you. If you too want to support the channel, you can do so by clicking the join button down below and becoming a YouTube channel member for only €2 or $2 per month. Or you can go to my merchandise store and grab something there. Last but not least, you can always send me super thanks and I will be super thankful for that. I'll be seeing you next time. Until then, bye bye and have fun.